I have absolutely no want to read this book right now. I didn't quite account for how crooked my floor is. Hopefully that's a little bit better. It looks like it in the viewfinder, but I don't know. Hi friends, it's Lexa, and today I am so excited because we are going to start a new TBR game called Bookish Bumble Chooses My TBR. Nope, Bookish Bumble builds my TBR, because I'm rolling with the bees here. There's a name for that. When all letters start with the same sound. Alliteration, yes, I am rolling with the alliteration here. I don't know about you, but I love TBR games. Becca's Bookopoly, Meg does TBR Cluedo, which I absolutely love, and then Gavin used to do Play Your TBR Right, which was like a card game that I loved. I actually think that might be the first one I ever saw. And since starting this channel, I have wanted to come up with my own TBR game, but it needed to fit a few guidelines for me. One is that I am, above all else, a mood reader. I can give myself books that I want to read, but I didn't want to have to play a game that only chose specific books for me every single time, because to be honest, I knew that that would just be setting me up for failure from the start. My favorite part about TBR games are the fun prompts, and the way that, like, even as an audience, a lot of times, like, you can play along. But also, I have next to no physical crafting skills. Whenever I had to create something in school, my mom always helped me. And by helped, I mean she did it for me while I supervised the situation. She is the crafter. I'm not. I'm good at making, like, computer graphics. Graphics for videos, Instagram, things like that. So creating like my own board wasn't gonna happen, especially because I knew that whatever I could create would not even touch what some of these awesome TBR games have. So then I thought maybe I could do like a TBR jar with some specific books and some prompts, but I knew that I wasn't gonna keep up with, like, as I'm reading books, I'm not gonna go through and like pick out the books that I've read from the jar. As I'm adding books, I'm probably not gonna go through and add those to the jar either. So I needed something that was more digital. And then when I was talking to my friend, we were talking about online dating and specifically Bumble, and I was like, oh my god, online dating, like online dating my books. That would be so much fun. I didn't want to just do books, I wanted to do online dating my books in a way that also left room for some of those more fun creative prompts. But the tricky part about coming up with some sort of TBR game is that also you want to make sure that no one's done it before. So I quickly got out my phone and I was like YouTubing it. Bookish Bumble, Bumble books, Bumble TBR, nothing. I was so excited. I was like, this is it. This is my moment. I got all the graphics down, I figured out exactly how I was gonna do it, and then I am glad that this happened before I filmed this video. A couple days ago, I was scrolling on YouTube and one of Kara's videos popped up and I realized that she has done like TBR Tinder? Tinder picture TBR? No, TBR Tinder, I believe. She's done this version, but with Tinder and her TBR. Kara from Kara's Bookshelf is incredible. I love watching all of her videos, so I will link her channel and also the Tinder TBR down below. Thankfully, my setup for Bookish Bumble is a little bit different than how she does her TBR Tinder, but oh my gosh, it is so much fun. Definitely go watch those. So to account for my love of mood reading, let's go over the rules that I have set up for this game. It is pretty much exactly as it sounds. I'm going to online date my book collection, mainly, hopefully, focusing on my physical TBR, the books I already own and need to read. And every single month, I'm going to play this game, and it is going to help me choose some of the books that I'm going to be reading that month. Each round, I'm going to get a new prompt or a new book, and I'll explain how that's going to go down here in a second. In each prompt or book that I get, I'm going to either swipe right if I want to choose that one, or left if I want to pass. But in order to play this game and make it fun and also challenging, I've got to randomize not only my physically owned books, but also I've included prompts as well. So in a document, I have listed out every single physical book that I own that I have not read yet. On top of that, I also have come up with 100 different like TBR game type prompts. Now, this ranges from everything from specific genres or subgenres, such as fantasy romance or queer stories or thrillers, to the actual like size of the book, from my smallest book to my biggest book. I've also included about 20 different YouTubers. So if I land on one of their names, I either have to go through and look at like the last book that they've read, and if I owned any of those, read those, or go to like one of their favorite books of the year and read one of those books that they have on there. With the prompts, most of the time I would like to prioritize my physical TBR, because that's the whole point of this game, is that I want something that's going to motivate me to read more of the books that I actually own. But some of these, just the inherent nature of the prompts, means that I'm going to have to go outside of that. So I'm going to then prioritize library books if possible, and if not, then I will buy the book. I also have prompts that will help me kind of switch up like where I've gotten the book from, like reading my book of the month books, or Kindle Unlimited, or my Illumicrate or Fairy Loot books, because those tend to sit on my shelves for a while, and I would like to get through those. As of me filming this, I have 154 books on my physical TBR. So we have about 100 different more open-ended prompts and then 150 specific books. If I land on a specific book, I have to choose whether I want to swipe right or left on that specific book. If I land on a prompt and it's a prompt that could be multiple different books, for example, a book that has a cozy vibe, my plan is to just show you a few different options that I have, and then throughout the month I can pick which one I'm feeling in the moment. Hopefully this will increase the amount that I actually stick to this TBR, and it'll just appeal to the mood reader in me a little bit more. But I didn't want to do all different prompts because I felt like that would be too easy. I need the pressure to be there that there are going to be specific books. I also want to note with series, I only included the next book in the series on this document. So I think for this first month, to kind of test out the waters, hopefully set myself up for success, we're gonna set the rules at me getting 10 swipes, but I have to choose 5 books or prompts from those swipes. So this way the pressure is on to be very intentional. So for every swipe, I'm actually just gonna pull up a random number generator from 1 to 254 right now. I'll update this every month as I go along. And then whichever either prompt or book that lands on, that's gonna be swipe number 1, so on and so forth. Keep in mind, this is the first time I'm ever doing this TBR game, so as the months go on, we might have to make some adjustments. This might end up being so super easy that I have to make it a little bit more difficult, or it might end up being too challenging and I have to give myself a little bit more wiggle room. I also want to put the disclaimer out there that I have never used Bumble. I've used Tinder and Hinged. Never used Bumble. It was just the one that rhymed with books. Some of the language or specifics might be a little bit different. If I'm wrong about something on like the actual user face of how Bumble works, let me know. But this is all just the vibes of online dating my book collection. This whole rundown, I'm not gonna go through this like lengthy rundown every time, but since this is the first time, I wanted a video I can reference back on if you have questions about how the game is set up. But I think as we go on, it's gonna prove to be pretty simple. 1 through 254, I don't know of a better way to like randomize all of these entries. So you're just gonna have to trust me that I'm not cheating. I don't know what else to tell you. In my mind, this would be a very weird thing to cheat on. The more challenging, I feel like the more entertaining it is to watch, you know? Swipe number 1. Swipe number 1 is Forge and Fire and Stars. I think that is that a Fairy Loot or an Illumicrate book that I have? No! Oh my god, this is the book I picked up at the Dollar Tree. Back like the very beginnings last year of my reading journey, I was so excited that the Dollar Tree sold books that like I didn't even think about like the quality of the books or if they were things that I would want to read. If they looked cool, I picked them up because they were $1, and I still have some of those. Let's look it up. Okay, it says Game of Thrones meets An Ember in the Ashes. Action-packed fantasy. I think that this is just like a very typical YA fantasy. We've got The Legend of the Lore Smith, Downfalls of Monarchies. Our main character is discovering a new truth about her family legacy, and it has a 3.58 on Goodreads. This is such a tricky one to get the first time. I only still own like 3 of those Dollar Tree finds that I have. Because here's the thing, is that it doesn't sound bad. I'm not interested in it at all. But I'm also not interested in it. And like, what if it's a golden find? You know, like what if this just ends up being one of my favorite YA fantasies ever? Okay, I'm kind of nervous about what else is gonna come up on this TBR, but I'm kind of excited about this. Nervous, but excited. I don't have a ton of specific fantasy books planned for February.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
Okay, we're gonna say swipe and right on Forge and Fire and Stars, and that is our first pick of the game. And it is going to be a questionable one. I'm very intrigued. Hold on. Some time has passed. As you can see, it was light outside, and it is now dark. So here's the thing. Someone showed up at my door, one of my friends. I didn't know that they were coming, so we hung out for a little while, and then my mom called and wanted to get lunch. So then I went with her to Olive Garden. Then she wanted to go to the mall. So I went with her to the mall. And now a snowstorm is coming and it is 6 o'clock. Back to where we were. And next we have a fantasy standalone. So this is one of the prompts, which means that I have options. What options do I have? I'm double checking to make sure that everything that I pick out as possible options are actually standalones. So I'm thinking something like Circe, The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. This is high up on my list. I know that Echo Wife is a standalone, but I don't know if it's technically fantasy or sci-fi. So I don't know if that one would count. The 10,000 Doors of January. This has been on my TBR for a while. Oh, or it's up there. A Dowry of Blood. That would be a good one for the Dowry of Blood. I believe that that's a standalone. So I'm gonna swipe right for sure on this one. I'm so excited about this. Now I'm kind of worried that I shouldn't have swiped right on the first one. I was just so worried. I just didn't want to get stuck with a bunch of options that I didn't like. It's fine, it's fine. I'm excited about the fantasy standalone. That is like my jam. And I have been starting so many series lately that I probably needed a good standalone because I think Forged in Fire and Stars is another series I'm starting. So it's good that we're sticking with standalones. Okay, next. Okay, the next one is The Road by Cormac McCarthy. Cormac McCarthy. Why was that so hard for me to say? I think that this is considered a classic. I could be wrong about that. But I believe that this is just following a father and a son in post-apocalyptic America, kind of walking around trying to survive. From what I've heard, this isn't like an intense post-apocalyptic read. It's like slow and more character focused, I believe. I think they're like the only two people left, or as far as they know, they're like two of the only people. I've had this on my shelf for a really long time, but I just don't know if that's the vibe. I feel like that is one that I'm gonna need to read when like in the moment I can pick it up and be like ready for it, you know? I don't know if it's one that I want to like force myself into reading during like a specific month or anything. So I'm gonna swipe left on that one. That's gonna be my first swipe left. I'm feeling good about this. We've got 2 books down. This is gonna be good. Next one is Boy Snowbird. Do I have that here? I picked this up at the thrift store for 50 cents. Is this a fantasy standalone? It says fantasy, but it also says fiction and literary fiction and fairy tales, which makes me feel this is more lit fic than like with maybe like a dabble of fantasy. And I think that this is just 3 women and like this strange connection that they realize they have between each other. I'm gonna be honest with you. I have absolutely no want to read this book right now. I think I picked it up because I had heard like someone mention it in a video, and since I found it for like 50 cents, I was like, why not? But nothing about reading the synopsis sounds appealing at all to me right now. So I'm gonna swipe left. I'm feeling a little bit better about picking Forged in Fire and Stone because I feel better about that than The Road or Boy Snowbird that we've passed on. Okay, next one. No, it's another book. The Starless Sea? Oh my gosh, that's what I was just saying for a fantasy standalone. I have been wanting to read this so much. My mom just got me this copy for Christmas. I don't know what it's about, but I think that Erin Morgenstern is also who wrote The Night Circus, and I've just heard that her writing and prose is incredible, and that it's like very vibes and character based, which is like so my thing. So it looks like we're following Zachary when he finds a book that has like details of his like life in it. Things and quests start to unravel from there. I am so in for this one. This is one that I was so worried was just gonna continue to sit on my shelves that like I really wanted to read but never got around to. So this will be such a good reason to actually get around to it. So this is gonna be swipe right number 3, The Starless Sea. And I still have 3 more swipe lefts. We're doing great. Next one. Katie. Oh my gosh, Katie is sprinting right now too. Should I go on her live and ask her? Let's see if she just responds. If she's in like the middle of a sprint, we'll see, we'll see. She's in the middle of talking about like a personal thing right now, so I don't want to interrupt with just like, hey, I know that you're talking to people about something serious right now, but let me just interrupt you. So I'll click back on after this video and ask her in her life at like a better time.
Building my TBR for next month and landed on the I have my own space? What? I'm stuck at that. I have my own space on your TBR board? I can't even read the rest of the comment. I'm like already freaking out. Which one do you, oh shit. I'm gonna say Spy Family. Spy Family. I'm gonna say Spy Family because I will be genuinely surprised if you are not a happier human being after reading that. You need to start your year off right.
Like the book I associate with Katie the most that I haven't read yet that I really want to read is Bunny by Mona Awad. So that would be like number 1 thing. I also just picked up I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, which is a graphic novel that she talks about, or it's a manga. I think it's a manga. And I haven't read a lot of manga, but I just picked up I Want to Eat Your Pancreas and Spy Family, which are like 2 other ones that I absolutely associate with Katie. I'm so excited about this one. Absolutely swipe right. Absolutely. I shouldn't have settled. I shouldn't have started this off with settling with Forged in Fire.
Well, well, well. How the turntables.
That's okay. We live and we learn. That's 4 out of the 5. We only have 1 more, and I still have 3 more swipes. Okay. What's next? What's next? It's gonna be a book. The Vanishing Half. That is such a good one. I picked that one up because our library was doing a live event with the author, and then I ended up getting sick and I couldn't go to the live event, and that whole week, like I was planning on reading it right before, didn't feel good at all, so I didn't end up reading it. That book, I believe, follows 2 sisters who one of them chooses to live their life passing as white, and one of them chooses to live their life as a Black woman, and just kind of how that has affected their life. I think that it's more literary fiction, truly following like a deep dive into how the choices that they've made have impacted their lives. Again, that sounds like such a good one, but I don't know if it's one that I want to read because like I have to on a TBR. Like I want to pick it up when I have the time to really like go through and annotate and spend time with that book. And I'm a little worried, especially with February being a shorter month. I just don't want to feel rushed with that one. So I think I'm gonna swipe left on that, but not because I don't want to read it, but because I want to read it when I'm in the right headspace too. Oh, hello. Okay, next one. It's another book. What is this? She is Fierce by Anna Sampson. I think that is a poetry collection that I have. 150 bold, brave, and beautiful poems by women, from classics, well-loved poets, to more innovative and bold modern voices. Listen, I'm not a poetry girly. And if I'm gonna read poetry, I need to read it like a little bit at a time. I can't sit through like an entire poetry book. So I get 5 swipes, right? So if I swipe left again, I still have one more chance to swipe left. That doesn't mean that I have to take the next pick, right? Yes. Okay, I'm gonna swipe left again. I'm sure that this is a great poetry collection, but I am not in my poetry era at this point in time. Okay, so this is good. See? Good thing that I saved up all of my swipes. I'm really trying to talk myself into that first decision, okay? I'm gonna need everyone to just go with it. Next one. I think it's gonna be a prompt. An Illumicrate book. Oh no. Here's the issue with Illumicrate books. Oh my god, okay. Let me finish that thought. My issue with Illumicrate books is that I want to read the books themselves, but I don't want to read the Illumicrate versions because they're so beautiful that I'm like, I don't want to destroy you or harm you in any way. And I am rough with my books. But I just remembered that one of them, oh my god, am I gonna read that this one? I did get, it's right here, hold on. I think this was my first Illumicrate box. It was quite the time to join. I didn't even know. I hadn't heard anything about this book because I hadn't read The Poppy War yet, but one of my first Illumicrate books was Babel by R.F. Kuang. I mean, come on. An active translation is always an active portrayal. Gorgeous, but I don't want to open this book because I don't want to ruin how absolutely beautiful it is. It has this stunning cover, but I can't reach it, but your girl up here bought the Book of the Month version of Babel because I knew I would want to read it, but I wouldn't want to read that version. And Babel has been on the top of my TBR for a long time, so I think that's what I'm gonna go with. I have some other Illumicrate books. I'm trying to remember which ones were Illumicrate and which ones were Fairy Loot. I think all of the special edition books I would want to read were Fairy Loot right now. Like the Book Eaters and My Dowry of Blood, that I believe was Fairy Loot. What am I paying Illumicrate for? What nice special editions do I have that I love? Maybe we've discovered that I need to cancel Illumicrate from this video. Let me look up what the last few months. Oh, the Luminaries. This one is. Okay. This one, which actually is absolutely stunning. Oh, the Book Eaters was Illumicrate. That makes me feel better because this is also high on my list. So, and I mean, look, come on, have fun. So I will say, chances are I'll probably end up reading Babel. So yeah, I've definitely talked myself into it. Swiping right on the Illumicrate. This has been so much fun. Should we just like swipe for the next two to just see what I would get? Right? Because if I didn't choose this one and I swiped whatever the next one was, I would have to choose. So we've only got one more. Might as well just see what it is if I didn't choose this one. It would have been a specific book. Okay, let's see. 13 Witches. Oh, that is a middle grade book. I picked that up at Barnes & Noble. I believe it's about witches. It's been a while since I've read middle grade. I should probably get back on that because I do enjoy middle grade from like time to time. Oh, the series is called 13 Witches. The first one is called The Memory Thief. First sentence is hard hitting. It says, 12-year-old Rosie Oakes' mom is missing whatever it is that makes mothers love their daughters. All her life, Rosie has known this and turned to stories for comfort. God. And then she discovers The Witch Hunter's Guide to the Universe. That sounds good, but I'm not as excited about that as I am about Babel or The Book Eaters. So I'm glad that I didn't swipe left on that other one and that I chose that one. That was a good prompt. So it looks like from there, we've decided that 5 of the books on my TBR are gonna be Fortune, Fire, and Stars, The Starless Sea, and an Illumicrate book, probably Babel or The Book Eaters. And then the 2 prompts that I can choose from are a fantasy standalone and a Katie favorite or Katie current read. That is such a solid first Bumble Builds My TBR round. I should also point out that I'm not overlapping prompts at all. So like Babel is a fantasy standalone, but I could only count it for fantasy standalone or the Illumicrate. I can't count it for both of those things. I can't go overlapping and using one book to try to knock off a few of them. I hope that you had fun. I had so much fun doing this. I'm so excited. Hopefully you had fun too. Let me know down in the comments if you have any recommendations for fantasy standalones or some of like your favorite Illumicrate books. If I should read The Book Eaters or Babel. Also, I just noticed that I was marking up eyebrow pens at the mall with my mom. This was such a blast. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, leave me a, ooh, let's do a fire emoji for our first pick, Forged Fire and Stars. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget, if you enjoy videos like this, consider hitting that subscribe button, pushing that thumbs up button. Really helps out the YouTube algorithm, helps other people find my content. And I'll see you all next time. Bye.